What's up? It's Ed here from Ed and the Tank Top Quartet. We're about to sing a little barbershop quartet for you. I've got the Tank Top boys here in honor of Dustin. Mark and Nick showed up in tank tops to support the gun show. So welcome aboard, fellas.
Yes.
Good to be here, man.
I apologize. I will try to get a tattoo in the next week or two to sleeve up, maybe.
Or some hentai or whatever that stuff's called.
I've got a birthmark. I mean, it's the Hawaiian Islands, I tell everybody. Yeah. It's kind of like a tattattoo.
I think the rest of us all have tattoos.
Yeah. God damn it.
Look at it.
I've never felt so out of place in my life.
All right. So Ed here from Geek, Google Ads Roundtable. I've got Mark, I've got Dustin, I've got Nick. And today, prior to going live, Dustin brought up a topic. So I'm going to kick it over to Dustin to get the conversation rolling.
Yes. So Tank Top Thursday it is. We were just talking about conversions. So a lot of times we run into situations where from a traffic perspective, we're getting good clicks, we're getting good traffic, people are, right intent, everything like that. But for sometimes things just don't convert on the back end. It could be the website, could be the market, it could be competition. So I just want to talk about ways that we dig into that a little bit. So maybe the tools we use, processes. So I can kind of start and get us going. Like some of the things we started using recently was Microsoft Clarity. So if you guys haven't used that, it's a free tool for Microsoft. It's actually a good one. They do like heat maps. It's kind of like a mouse flow or a Hotjar, but there's no cost. They also tie into your analytics. So and it's really easy to integrate with Tag Manager. There's like basically an automatic setup. As long as you're logged in the Tag Manager, you choose the container, it deploys it. It's really great. And there's no issue with like reporting limits or anything like that. There's a lot of pretty cool stuff. It'll send you a report every week if you want one. So it's pretty cool. So that's one of the things we started doing like in the last year. That's been pretty cool. Let me just pause my Slack notifications here. Sorry, guys. That's one thing. Also, of course, double checking conversion tracking, making sure it's not a tracking issue. We'll do test form submissions, test phone calls, just check all that sort of thing out just to make sure there's nothing in the plumbing, the digital plumbing, like my buddy Dennis likes to call it, broken. What else? The ad preview tool, Google ad preview tool. So we want to see what's showing up in the SERPs when we're showing up. We want to make sure that there's nothing that's like off with how we're saying things compared to the competition. Google Trends is another place you can look for any kind of like change in trends. That's a little bit less often. That's like when you're really digging. And of course, talking to the client, just asking them what's going on. So those are some of the things we do that are not just your typical look at Google Ads metrics, right? It's more kind of digging in outside of Google Ads a little bit, except for the preview tool as part of Google Ads and the tracking. But love to hear what you guys are doing and what you guys do to dig in.
Everything that Dustin just said, and then it's intense split testing on the landing page. So we run landing pages for 99% of our clients. If they're e-commerce, if they're a university, if they're an assisted living facility, if there's something where there's a lot of research happening, we'll go main site. But for the most part, local service companies, professional services, typically a landing page for us. And a lot of split testing in Instapage, a lot of tests that are automatically done using the actual landing page software tool itself. It could be font, it could be headline, it could be button color. You can set up multi-layers of testing that happen all at once, depending on how much traffic they're getting. But at least at first, it's like you mentioned earlier, making sure you're getting really good traffic first, because sometimes it could literally just be a phrase match issue and it's not clean traffic. It's all competitor traffic, but it looks like it's coming in clean, but it's not. So just all of that said, there's an assumption that the traffic's clean. So yeah, a lot of split testing on the landing page.
Cool. When it comes to conversion tracking, like Ed, we do 99% of our stuff to landing pages. What converts, it's easy, but we do have clients that will send to their website. And then that gets all kinds of challenging because we set up Google Tag Manager. Occasionally we'll set up what converts on their website, but we'll set up Google Tag Manager. And then the hardest part from what I've seen is correlating the conversions we see in Google Ads to the leads that come in, because they may have a contact form. They may have a phone number where all we can track is a click on it. know if you got a call. Some of them have, links to third-party apps that do booking and stuff, and you try to set up your conversion tracking. But really, it's really the challenge we run into there is, directly attributing a Google, conversion to a specific, a specific lead on their site. So that's, unfortunately, we don't do a lot of it. And I'm honestly not a GTM or Google Tag Manager expert. Couldn't even fire it up if I wanted to, but I know that's what we use a lot of time to track them.
Just press play. Just press play. You just press play. That's all you have to do.
Press play and it goes.
Yep.
The other one we've run into lately is trying to, and I don't know why I did this, but I volunteered to help someone set up or fix their call tracking metrics, which is another solution. And we're not getting attribution inside of call tracking metrics for campaigns and keywords and things. And I've stumped their support 3 times, which to me, this is the easiest thing in the world. I'm running Google ads. Here's the number. Here's the landing page. Why can't I get attribution inside of Google, inside of your software to see what's going on? So, it ends up being a time burner on our end, to be honest. I don't want to sound unhelpful.
I know, but at some point you got to go, hey, you're paying me by the hour to do this. At what point does this not become worth just not moving to CallRail or to what converts or something else? Because it's like, guys,
or just Google's.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I had to throw it in there, man.
Yeah.
I volunteered to set up what converts and just drive it to their tracking number in call tracking metrics. And I think call tracking metrics would pick it up from there.
We do CallRail to other tracking platforms. We do that because honestly, the amount of times that we've been in other people's accounts and things just get unlinked for whatever reason, people change things.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, we have no leads now. And it's like, oh gosh, what did you do? Like, oh, I set up another number and just moved this number around, but neglected to tell us. And just the ship breaks. So for that, we always just if they want the dashboard control, like everyone gets a sub account anyway, but if they want it within theirs and they're actively using another platform, just have them set up a single PPC number and then direct it through that and have it then through the workflow. So we do that all the time.
Yep.
We do too. This is why you got to check your tracking often because
once a month.
We do it once a week. We check tracking every. I know it sounds like a lot.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, I mean, you're going to know if your tracking's broke if you got 0 leads, but like the phone call thing, like if you see a trend of you're getting phone calls and phone calls aren't as common, right? They don't hit as much as like a form fill or whatever you're tracking for a conversion. Like if they sort of dwindle out to nothing, then something's up. Like it didn't, that or Google just decided to quit showing impressions on your phone tracking because they don't want to do it anymore. You never know what they're
or
up to,
worse. Right? We've seen
number getting disapproved out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Cell phone providers all of a sudden blocking a tracking number calling in to that number because it's technically it's a robodial.
Yep.
It's pulling in so it goes lead through the tracking number to them, and they're considering that the robodial, and they're blocking it. And all of a sudden, we're working for months, and all of a sudden, no calls are going through, and it's just going like dead dial. So we've had to have clients call their phone companies directly and basically whitelist it. We've seen that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. In regards to what Dustin was talking about, my take on it sounds like, so again, being in real estate, is it going to be a lead? Are they going to call? It's pretty straightforward for us, right? In consulting and in other sets, we've had that conversation where they drive a lot of traffic to a page and they're just not getting it to convert, or it just, the client is, even if the client's patient, you're like, it seems like the search intent is there. The keywords look like they're good. Search intent seems like it's there. This sounds stupid, but we tested this and this worked. A freaking coupon. So on the page where there's a lot of people, and I won't mention the vertical that we were talking about before. There's another vertical, like, even in, I was working with a client today on karate, and you guys know who I'm talking about. Like, so working with them, if they're struggling with that, there might be people that just like, we were like, hey, we need to emphasize phone calls because people have questions for their kids going in and doing karate lessons, right? Or BJJ. What's the difference between jujitsu and karate, right? Like that kind of stuff. And it might even come down to, they weren't emphasizing on their landing page a free first lessons free, bring your kid in this week, right? Or even doing a coupon where it's offline, but then they're coming in and handing you this and being like, hey, here's a page where I have a coupon for this or this, right? It's an offline thing, but even in because the vertical you're talking about, Dustin, and I know I'm being cryptic here, but like we've done that several times as a family. My wife is positive. She's a conspiracy theorist. So she's positive that if she buys it online, it won't be legitimate if you go to that other country, right? So they're like, this is good. We should do this. But she'll take a photo of it. Like she'll do a screenshot of it and be like, I want this, or like asking for that pricing. It might be just come down to just creating coupons or telling them, save this page, take a screenshot of this and bring this in for that deal. It's an offline conversion. It's something you'd have to communicate with your client and saying, hey, this is probably how we have to do it, right? And there's going to be a ton of verticals like that where people want to have a conversation or they want to order it when they show up, right? If there's an option to buy or purchase or a solution when they show up. There's a lot of people that have that disconnect that just don't trust buying it online because it might be a fly by night, or how do we know this is legitimate, right? That's stuff that we've tested before that actually works. It sounds stupid because you're like, everything should be done online because that's the life we live, right? Like I trust everything online. And have I been burnt before? Sure. Has my wife bought stuff from China on Facebook and said, I've got this new thing coming, I can't believe how cheap it is. And then it never shows up, or it does. And it's like 1/64th the size it's supposed to be. That happens. There's people out there that just won't let that happen to them and they refuse to order online. They want to be in person for it. That might be the way of doing it, is just saying, hey, print this out, or, bring this as a solution. I don't know if you can track the event of printing a page. That would be a GTM question for like the guy that we have in the office. We call him Data Man.
That's some pretty invasive stuff.
I mean, we're pretty invasive in what we do for remarketing, retargeting, right? Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. We're a fairly invasive group when it comes to marketing. We know too much, right?
We're an invasive species, huh?
Yeah, right. So that's the take we would have on it. I think when you make sure, like you guys said, checking to see is are the search terms legitimate? Is it not them just looking for competitors' keyword terms? Like going through all that, going through the landing page experience. What's the landing page like? Honestly, at the end of the day, it might just need to be some stupid offline, print this coupon out for 100% off your first visit, right?
I think that's a good point, because like sometimes, especially with like clients that we don't work in a niche you've worked in, or maybe not exactly the same way.
Yep.
Sometimes they're proving concept. You're proving the concept, and maybe what they want them to do is not the step that they're ready to take at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing more research. They're going to search today, but they're not going to take action for a few weeks or a few months, right? If you don't know that, then it's maybe you have to get your remarketing game up, or you have to, not go after so much researchy traffic, or maybe you should say, instead of trying to get them to call you or book an appointment, they're going to, get a download or something, right? To start that email nurture process that's going to turn it into a sale. So I think that's another part of it that we look at, when it's home services, it's usually pretty straightforward. Real estate, I know, can be, with you guys, Nick, I mean, it could be definitely a long sales cycle.
A long sales cycle,
real estate agent.
Yeah.
And then I think it's just a matter of identifying these issues and trying to dig in and hope the client understands that. But if you have, in my opinion, if you have good traffic and you have a good offer and there's maybe some scarcity or some desire and a pain and a problem solution, I mean, you should be getting conversion, whether it's quick or whether it takes a little bit, that's subjective, but like you should be solving that problem. You should be getting something. It shouldn't go nowhere. So
that's the challenge too. I always tell prospective clients, if we can get you some conversions, we can get you more conversions. But first you got to get some, so we know what's working, especially if we're working in some weird niche that we don't normally work in. You got to have, once we get some quantity, we know what works to some degree, but it's an iterative process and we're learning. So
yeah, there's just some niches or some some things out there in search that just, there might be search traffic for it, but the last thing they want to do is fill out a form or make a phone call. It was the photography stuff we were talking about. Like, how many people are going to fill that form out for boudoir photography, right? Now Ed's like, hey, there's search traffic for it. It's doable. It might be doable to get traffic, but it might be you having to run traffic. And we've talked about this in the real estate sense of just running pure traffic, not forcing any reg, letting them onto the site, navigate what they want, and then try to hit them with remarketing and retargeting, right? Like getting in front of them on all platforms, being that omnipresence, like that might be what you have to do. Now that gets expensive, but it depends on what you're selling, right? So depending on if the juice is worth the squeeze, if you can bring in a client for a good amount of margins. That's the other thing that, this could be a conversation for another day, and it could be a long one. Making sure your client knows what the LTV of their business is, lifetime value to a client, like per client, what their margins are. I would guess, I think this is probably an aggressive number. I would guess 85% of all small businesses have no idea what their margins are.
Oh, I think 85 is actually really generous.
Yeah. So
I would think it's probably
92, 93. It's up there.
I think it's probably like 97, 98.
Yeah. And I'll admit it.
The number below $1 million.
Yeah.
Even at $1 million, the threshold for knowing your numbers is not.
Oh, yeah.
It's not that high.
I'll be the first to admit it. I know my margins are really good. I don't know the precise number. I used to know it, and I can calculate it within a couple of minutes. But
well, there you go. You don't know your own. If you
right,
and you're crushing it.
Well, they're so fucking good. Why do I care? Right?
Well, that's true. That's true.
Let's edit this out.
Yeah.
Let's edit this part out.
I'm moving to real estate. Real estate. Yeah, the thing that I run into is they don't know, like, conversion rate to me is part of it. If you get 10 calls, how many of them are you going to turn into?
Well, I can close all of them if you give me 10 calls, Mark.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that where it's all the entire business is all referred in business.
Right.
And like everyone thinks they're tremendous at sales until they've dealt with cold traffic or appointments that have been set. That's a whole nother ball of wax. And if you can work off of that, then you've got a good sales process in place. But
to me, LTV is a huge one, and that could be a one-time transaction. It could be across a long time. But if you don't know that, you don't really know how to value a lead. The question I ask people sometimes, and this might be challenging when you're dealing with referral traffic, because that's the best, it's not scalable, but it's the best traffic you can get. But I'm like, okay, if I could get your phone to ring right now with a prospect that was interested in your service, what would you pay to make that phone ring? And sometimes you can get an answer.
Right. That's a great way to frame it, though, Mark. Like what he just said is an amazing way to frame it, because it puts it back on that client that you have, of them being like, well, if it cost me $10 every time I got the phone to ring, that'd be completely valuable. Or it's $100 or whatever it is. Like making them think of it and reverse engineering that question. That's awesome to be able to do that.
I'm stealing that one, Mark. I'm taking.
I really like that one. I also it could potentially be a little dangerous because they've also spent $500 on XYZ before, and they just assume that because they've spent that $500, they want to spend $500 here, not having a real concept on what the market's telling you it costs versus what they want it to cost. You got to be careful there.
No, I think it's revealing though, because if they say $10 and they're in plumbing, then you know right away, either I've got a real education problem here, or you're just totally unrealistic. And lots of people get calls. Like I talked to a guy the other day. He's like, well, I get 10 calls a day, but he's closing 2 deals a week. Well, then you're getting 10 crap calls. If you're getting 70 calls a week off your website and 2 of them close, you got issues that are unrelated to, it's either traffic
or he's fucking terrible at sales.
Well, he doesn't pick up his phone. That's one thing I learned.
That's the huge problem, man. It's way more prevalent than people fully appreciate, that they just don't answer the calls. It's like
I'm waiting for him to come back.
Well, buddy, I tell you what, like working inside, like working with dental, chiropractic, karate, like martial arts, like who's answering the phone? And you think about who's answering the phone, and a lot of times it's not the dentist. The dentist is not answering the phone. It's your front desk lady that has the nice piece of candy out there, like sugar-free candy, obviously, or like that's out there at the front desk that's calling to remind people about their appointments, but then also is answering that phone, is not a good salesperson by any means, and shouldn't be asked to be. Like, how do you set that up? Or when you're talking to that client, I've had that conversation. They're like, no, my front desk person's awesome at calls. And then you record them with what converts, or call rail, or call tracking metrics. You play that back for the client, and you can watch. It's like watching a train accident. Like, holy shit, did they really say that? Like, oh my God, what? Who told him to say that? Well, you never trained him on what to say, right?
I think dentists in particular is one niche that I've run into that over and over, because they have a person. Every dentist has someone answering their phone, so they think they've got it covered.
Yep. Our phone gets answered.
Someone calls in and say, hey, is this Dr. So-and-so? I need a dental implant. No, let me look up Dr. So-and-so's number for you. No, that's not what you do.
We do that here.
So there's a difference between having someone answer your phone and having sales knowledge and abilities.
Yeah.
I want to throw in one thing also that kind of to layer on what Nick said. Understanding your margin. I think it's also understanding what your overhead is in your business, and the idea of keeping trucks moving, because you're paying hourly wages for full-time employees. So Google Ads may not be the most profitable thing for your business, but if it keeps the trucks moving and keeps your guys employed, so that the other method you have that drives super profitable work is there, and high margin work, there's something to be said for that. That's assuming you understand your margin on your deals. It also, you have to take into account customer lifetime value. Are you assuming all of the money you're going to make is on the first job you do for them, or do you know that they come back twice in the next 12 months? And understanding that, and then layering that in.
And are you marketing to them in any other way?
Exactly. I think we've talked about this in the past, becoming more well-rounded in business instead of just focusing on Google Ads being your only source of flow. Like remarketing to your database, bringing in additional ways you can drive additional business, whether it be Facebook ads or bandit signs or direct mail or referral networks or whatever else it is. But just realizing that Google Ads can't be the only way you're driving leads. And if the success of your business hinges on just one lead source, you're in deep trouble, and you're in a major risk. I'll give you an example. The junk removal industry, the average job in the industry went down year over year, and lead costs went up. So what does that mean? You're just getting squeezed on both sides of this,
right?
And they're scratching their heads like, what the hell? You got to look at what other lead sources you have flowing into your business and not rely just on Google Ads alone. That goes for everything. It goes for us across the board. It's just, we've talked about this many times. It's stability in your business. Bar stools have 4 legs or 3 legs. They don't have 1 or 2 legs. And that's
what ask me all the time with their agencies. And I see these questions, how should I market it? And like, every way that works is how you should market it.
Yeah.
Every way that works. We run into a situation where there's an expectation that Google is like going to perform 100% of the time, or some extremely high percent of the time, all the time. And like, it's the one thing in your business that is always going to perform. I'm like, what about your trucks? How often are your trucks that you invested in, you put $50,000 into, literally just sitting there, not performing? So be realistic. Your marketing is here to do a job just like everything else is, but it's not going to do it. It's not running 100%, at 100% capacity. And I'm sorry, no one in your business is. Nothing in your business is.
Right. Yep.
I think another point that would be good to touch on, because I think we're all kind of sort of doing it in a way, is like, Google Ads ain't going to fix your conversion problem if it's beyond the traffic, right? Or your offer. If you have a crap offer, you can put it on a billboard, you could put it in SEO, you could put it in an email. It's going to be a crap offer. You're just going to have more people that see it. So I think there's that you have to have a business that's viable, that works, a product people want, know how to present it, know how to sell to them. Google Ads will get you more people looking for it, but it's not going to convert the people for you. And I think in our case, people look to us like we have some magic landing page and we have this special thing. Now, we might have a better landing page than you. We might have it might be clean and fast and responsive and has a keyword and all that great stuff, but they still have to want what you have to offer, right? We can only take the horse to the water. You got to salt it up a bit and make it drink or do something. It doesn't, like a lot of times we get the thing of they think we're supposed to deliver a customer, and we can't do that necessarily. We
deliver leads.
Give you an opportunity to get a customer, but you have to actually take the thing the rest of the way. And that's the one thing that a lot of new Google Ads advertisers think, or business owners that are trying it out, like, oh, you guys have done this before, so it's always going to work. No, because we've never worked with you before. It worked for these guys, but a lot of times those guys have a lot going on. They've got the patience, the budget, they've sold before, they've got that. If you're like, oh, it has to work in 30 days, 60 days, and whatever.
I try to
run.
Good luck.
Run.
Good luck.
Yeah, no.
Makes money I can do next month.
We like if I ever hear on a sales call, and I've got my other guy that does sales calls trained, if we ever hear like, well, I'm going to put this on my credit card and I think this is going to turn my business around, we tell them no. You are not an Oracle. You're not a healer. You cannot fix businesses. You are a goddamn PPC manager. You are pushing traffic to their site. You are not closing deals for them. If it's somebody comes to you with the desperation like that, and it's like, well, this is going to turn things around for me. I'm really going to make, this is going to make or break my business. Freaking run. Because the last thing you need on your conscience is somebody going bankrupt, when in all honesty, it wasn't you. You were just the straw that broke the camel's back, right? Anybody, like, I get that we want to take on business and try to get more clients, but that is the least attractive client to us, period.
Yeah, I try to couch it. Sorry, Ed. I try to couch it in like, okay, what's your monthly budget? Work through that. Okay, now take that times 3. Can you afford that? Because that's how long it's going to take us to get this. Maybe not, but I'd rather undersell and over deliver than think that I'm going to launch in a week and that's going to pay for next week's.
Yep.
But it's not going to. And you're in pretty bad shape. So this isn't going to fix you.
Yep. I don't know where I originally heard this saying or a version of this saying, but we've talked about it on this before, that you want to make good clients better and not bad clients good. Like we can't get them stuck out of the bad category. They have to have some fundamentals in place. They've got to be able to answer calls correctly. They've got to be able to take in orders or to schedule things to fulfill the work. There's some basic stuff in place that needs to be done in order for this thing to work. So
basically, I think Nick, you said it. You probably said it. Dustin probably said it. It can't be the only thing you're doing. You have to have good branding, good trucks, good look, good, whatever it is. You have to have processes. This is a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Try running your car with one part. It's not going to work.
Right.
Awesome.
Very true.
All right. Anybody else got anything they want to add in before we wrap up? Besides your bald eagle over there, I love it. I love it. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna wrap it up there for the day. Links below if you need anything. Have a wonderful day. I'm ending recording.